kicking lyrics that are new and power to the people. I mind that I went to. You cannot forget about the ghetto, Soweto. Things ain't too good, sienza in Zima. Run and get it done, Gijima Pangisa, Hambala, Jigela, Chisa, Shashisa, Chia Abantu, let him go, yeah, Chisa.
Hey, my daughter, that means hey, man, Shosholoza. Work it while you can. Asambeni im 70 means let's go to work. Uyasanya means you're a crazy jerk. Akim Ulamanga, no, I'm not joking. I just produce rhymes that are pretty provoking. Ngoma Umnandi, yes, the jam is hype. You know where to find me, Zimbabwe, right? Right. In my native language, doing damage. In my native language.
Obula, get with it as I kick it. Chai is the way I say hit it. A name Dumi Right, this rhyme is mine, yeah, Ungawami. Hold on, man, I'm not saying hamba. Beat 'em and defeat 'em, they try about far now. Wake up, be a pooper when I.
Greetings, greetings. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to New Voices Amplified. My name is Plot Marco and welcome to yet another edition of the New Voices Amplified. But today I'm not speaking to a new voice. I'm speaking to a legendary voice, a trailblazer, one of the pioneers of hip hop in Zimbabwe. We're going to be talking a bit more about that, but he's got something amazing. Last week he dropped such a beautiful project. He teamed up with a group from Zimbabwe, Kobulawayo, an imbube group called Indosakusa, which is a super amazing group, and they've won awards. And just to think of hip hop combining with imbube is something that I never really thought of. But yeah, welcome to earGROUND. Dumi Right.
Hey. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for the opportunity. It's always good to share, the stuff that we're doing as creatives, especially for a project as near and dear to my heart as this, and as impactful, I think, as this one.
Wow. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. I started off with doing damage, and you never stop doing damage. You're still, breaking records, making music, dropping rhymes. When you look back from the time that you guys as kids dropped that song up to now, what sort of feeling do you get?
It's so nostalgic to see that video because I don't watch it, right? I made it and I probably saw it a million times back when we made it, and since then. And so whenever it pops up on the screen, I'm like, oh my goodness, good memories, good thoughts. But if you notice, and I kind of just thinking about this right now as we're talking, you saw in the video African dancers. That was actually a dance troupe. We filmed the video in LA, and we were looking for dancers to, kind of bring out the concept in the song and, that African culture mixed with hip hop. And I went to a dance studio, and there's actually a visiting dance company that was there. And so they were like, oh my goodness, it sounds cool. And they hopped in the video. And so that's just an ongoing recurring thing that we've tried to do, is bring African culture and music and dance to the forefront of what we're doing with hip hop, to make something different, but also to reflect that tradition and culture that we grew up with, right? We were kind of in both worlds, having those roots and beginnings, and then also having fallen in love with hip hop as a mode of expression.
Well, that is quite interesting there, because you talk about the roots. And this is something that I've picked in almost all your music. Your music is deeply rooted in terms of the lyrical content, but also in terms of the sound and how much you experiment around it. A lot of young people that are doing hip hop today, they will try and, as much as possible, to run away from any traditional sound or traditional elements, especially if they are descendants or coming from Africa. And you are there in the States, but you still remain connected. Why having that connection? Why necessarily bringing some traditional elements into your music?
So for me, I think it reflects a lot of who I am and, you know, the being and person and creative artist that I've become. I mean, growing up in the house, there was always music, a lot of Afro jazz, you know, Hugh Masekela was playing, or Steve Kekana, Brenda Fassi, you can, you know, even way back in the day in Tombi's is Manje Manje playing, you know, and stuff like that. And even Manu Dibango or Fela, you know, Fela was always on the radio. And so that kind of was my first musical experience, if you will, before I'd even discovering hip hop. You go down that path, but those sounds and feelings and vibes stays with you. And I think what a lot of times people miss is popular music embraces our traditions and our cultures, you know, and so I should do it too. You know what I mean? Paul Simon shouldn't have the exclusive right to rock, you know, traditional African music collaborations. And that was a great thing that he did, you know, in exposing Ladysmith Black Mambazo, which is another group that we listened to and was playing in the house. So that just kind of permeates my being as an artist and as a creative, and kind of influenced kind of how I started and what I do. And so for me, it was like, why not bring that to the forefront as kind of all the elements that are a part of me. And then the other thing too is even artists like Common and the Jungle Brothers have sampled and used African music. So and it's a beautiful thing because it exposes people to artists' sounds that they may not have even been exposed to or have heard of. And so it's really cool to be able to continue to do that. And then like with the imbube style of singing, that's something that's just like captivating. And I mean, I heard growing up and always listened to, and so it was like, wow, you know, people sample stuff like that to make hip hop records. And it's like, I feel it's an honor and a privilege to be able to have a group to actually compose something original together with me across the oceans and make a new and impactful song that's inspirational and uplifting for everybody. So people who listen to traditional music, I would hope will listen and be like, oh yeah, that hip hop isn't so bad after all. I can kind of see. And then people that listen to hip hop will be like, oh, that was wild. That was a unique and interesting collaboration.
Wow. And still on that, how has been the response to your music? Like when you perform and you bring in some of these elements into your hip hop music, do the people look at you and like, oh, what is that hip hop? Or they're actually receptive and responsive to the kind of hip hop that you're doing that connects?
Definitely that. Receptive, responsive. People love it. One, I think it gives me an edge over the competition because I'm not doing the average every day, all day. It's not just me and a microphone running up and down being like, yeah, you know, for 60 minutes, you know, and it's like, oh, okay, that's good. But what else have you got? And I think it also broadens the audience that you have available because it's people that may not be traditional hip hop listeners. And it's allowed me to get into large forums in non-traditional prestigious venues. Like there's a place called the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. That's one of the premier arts centers in the whole country, in the whole United States. Wow. And they're doing a lot more to embrace hip hop culture. But I did a show there called Global Hip Hop Excursions. And I said, instead of when cultures collide, which is the cliche expression, I said, what happens when cultures coincide? So bringing together different elements. So I had somebody playing the djembe, a gentleman from West Africa, rocking with me on a raga influenced tune. And then I had guitar, I had drums, had even collaborated with some folks from India doing Bhangra dancing. So it was all over the map, you know what I mean? Like nothing is off limits as long as it's beautiful and creative. We are willing to cooperate, collaborate, and integrate and see what it sounds like, you know, to make music and art, because like they say, music is the universal language. So why not embrace it in that fashion?
Wow. Talking about music being a universal language, we're gonna take a small break and, you know, get ourselves into that universal language. And then we come back after a minute. We're going to talk about the new project that you did with the Indosakusa group from Kobulawa.
All right.
pressure.
It's so apparent they want us to turn back, never that, sever that. We only go straight ahead, never back. Can't provide no slack, cause then that would lead to regression. They say the road to hell is often paved with good intentions. Study your opponent, pay attention to how they attack. How should we react? Gotta stay united, keep intact. Stronger, and you know that we last longer if we move as one. Read the signs between the lines and see what's really being done. How to make a slave, that plan is often duplicated. Fight amongst yourselves, you're just being manipulated. Maybe these conditions just ignition to get started. Impatient, too complacent, and lost focus on the target. Sometimes in the darkest night is when you rediscover. At our lowest point is when we really need each other. Keep using and abusing and there won't be nothing left. It's more than just success, it's a matter of life or death.
Never, never, never.
Welcome back. We are back. I'm speaking there to Dumi Right. We just dropped a new song and a video called No Turning Back, featuring Indosakusa from Bulawayo. You and the group, how did you guys connect?
So actually we just connected via social media. I heard some of their songs on, I think, Facebook, some stuff that they'd done or some shows that they were doing, just some live footage. And I was like, wow, I was like, that's really incredible. And so, started off as kind of mutual admiration and checking out the music and the art and being like, that's really cool, and hearing about the shows they were doing and the accolades they were receiving. And then an idea struck me and I was like, wow, for this song that I'm doing, it would be interesting to try to do a collaboration. And so I reached out to them. And they're like, oh, okay, let's trade information. Let's see what you're trying to do and what we can do. And it's a long time coming, a long time in the making. But the rapport was kind of instant. They were like really responsive, really willing. And also, with their talent, what they did as we were sharing ideas was really compelling, right? So it even amplified that desire to make it happen, because it's like, oh my goodness, yeah, this is definitely. And like I said, you sample something that's somebody else did a different thing. It's different when you're actually making something new with another creative or collaborators, with a group, and just having their talent to be able to collaborate for this song was really cool. So we just got together online, everything, I was in the US, they were in Zimbabwe, and so we just collaborated online back and forth, talking about the idea, the concept, exchanging vocal recording messages just back and forth. And then once we nailed it down, they went in the studio, I went in the studio and recorded our parts, and they sent me their 12-part harmony to bring to sat in the studio with the sound engineer and mix it down and bring it all together.
Wow. And this also means the video, which looks very seamless, like as if you guys were actually in the same place, was recorded from two different worlds combined to one.
Yeah, definitely. And it was funny because the first ambitious thing was okay, can I get a group of, a talented singing group in another continent, and can we collaborate and make a cohesive song? And we did, and the results were amazing. I was really pleased, and the response was great. And then it was even folks like you. I remember you telling me yeah, if there was a visual aspect to this, and I was like, man, that's.
When I had the audio, I was like, wow, man, this is dope. And because I had never really imagined the two genres, finding each other and like what you're saying, coinciding and creating such harmony musically.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, this is going to be difficult. Like, how are we going to pull this off? Because when you make a video, even when you make a song, you know, like a lot of the creative process is brainstorming or collaborating. So when you're separated, and then especially I'm communicating with one person and they're a group, and then I'm over here, you know, and they have thoughts and ideas. But it was like, hey, you know, we can make it happen. Like, you know, thankfully, due to technology, things are more straightforward. But what, as we were just preparing to get started and had shared some ideas, you know, COVID lockdown was on us. And so nobody was going anywhere to do anything in groups, right? So we just used that time to strategize and plan, you know, knowing that once things, you know, started to get better, we'd go back and work it out and everything. And a big part of the visual aspect that's great too is showing people, like they'll hear the singing, but showing people how the group, you know, performs in an imbube style, you know, with the outfits and the dance routines and, you know, all in unison and harmonizing and, you know, seeing the faces and the movements and everything. And then also seeing what I do as an artist as I perform and try to convey a message. So it was like, yeah, let's find a way to make that happen. And again, it's one of the best collaborations because they were thoughtful, willing participants, you know, they had ideas. And so they went and were able to shoot some really great footage. And then I had the benefit of having their footage when I went to shoot. So we were like, okay, what's the thought? What's the idea? How do we blend these things so we can show, you know, those crossover between the two worlds and it's almost like two different realms, but they're intertwined. So we show how they weave together, but how they're also different and separate.
Wow. That is so great and well done. The product
Appreciate
came out
it.
well. And right now that this project is out, what's next? What are you currently working on?
Yeah, so I definitely want to give this video and song single release as much legs as we can and get it out to radio. And I want it to be, you know, beyond just the US audience. Obviously the audience in Zimbabwe needs to hear it, needs to feel it. I think they will. And so we're also cross promoting, you know, with them bringing it to their audiences and folks that are aware of their style and their background, and then doing the same on my side. So just pushing that is hard, you know, getting it out to every place that we can. But in the meantime, I'm pretty close to finishing my next album.
Awesome.
One of the things I do as an independent artist is an album never really, you never really stop promoting it, right? So right now I have my current project called Doing It the Right Way, previous album. And so like I said, with this, just keeping pushing it, getting people out, you know, on all music platforms, digital music platforms, wherever people consume music, and get them to hear it, but also keep them listening as I prepare for this next album project that's coming. That's also pretty incredible. I mean, we've got like a lot of great music. It's always, you know, in the Dumi Right style. You know, it's going to be forward looking. It's going to be lyrical. It's going to have hard hitting beats that it's going to make your head nod, but it's also going to be uplifting and inspiring, you know, and it's going to be intertwined with messages about what's going on in the world. And, you know, just as a music artist, but also just as a person, you know, surviving in the world that, as we know, we're in turbulent times globally, right? So all of that is embodied in the music, and it's really cool. I'll say a couple things. The people know there's a video and single I did with the hip hop legend called We Don't Need, subtitled No More Trouble. And that's out, and that's going to be on the album, including a remix. There's a really dope remix of this song that we've been talking about, No Turning Back, that I collaborated with a producer out of France on it. And it was cool because he took it and he interpreted it in a whole different way. Like it's more laid back. It's almost got an Afro jazz feel. His dad plays saxophone, so it's beautiful. He's like, yeah, let me get my dad to play saxophone on this song. And so his dad was playing the saxophone as they were singing. So again, he customized what he played to how the vocals were reverberating. So it turned out like amazing. And I was just blessed to be like, oh man, if I thought it couldn't even get any better. And so there's that. And then just some real high-powered collaborators stepped up. Actually just finalizing a couple. And then what we're going to do probably is put it out on vinyl, because that's where people are actually still, a lot of people don't really care about physical music anymore. It's all about digital downloading on the phone. But with vinyl, it's kind of like a collector's item.
It's a collector's
piece of art.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to do a limited edition vinyl. I have an artist from South Africa that did some incredible cover art that again continues the same. You'll see this theme over and over. The artwork includes the urban mixed with the traditional African culture in a unique and different way. So I'm looking forward to that. Artie, he goes by the name of Artie. He's a real cool artist, but continuing that theme. So just the thing I've learned, if I've learned anything since when we first dropped to now, is don't stop moving your legs. You know what I mean? Don't stop running. It's almost like if you imagine yourself on a treadmill and you're going, and if the treadmill keeps going and you stop, what happens, right? You fall off.
You fall off,
That's literally what happens with music. If you stop, working on stuff, you kind of get out of step with what's going on, but you also kind of lose your edge. And then people, audiences are fickle. People forget about you and they're onto them. There's so much art and so much music out there. And then you got to keep, innovating too. Like, I don't like to be like, oh, I got to be in, like what's out now. Cause I'm not trying to emulate or copy these artists. I have my own style, but I stay updated with what I'm talking about, with being relatable. You know what I mean? So I always say when I perform, I can perform for kids in school. I can perform for grown-ups. I can perform at art centers. I can go to a club and tear it down. You know what I mean? There's not any forum where I can't do my thing, I don't think. You know what I mean? Like, respectably, from day one till now.
And we are not turning back.
No turning back, like the song says.
Great. And right now, I know the number of hip hop artists that are watching, especially hip hop heads from Zimbabwe. What would be your advice, your word to somebody who's trying to make music or is making great music, but somehow they want to go international, they want to make it out there?
So I think, the one thing is I'm still trying to figure it out. So I don't like to sit up as if I'm on some elevated plane and I got the secret sauce, you know what I mean? I'm still figuring that out, but I think that's part of it. Like, always keep trying to discover your route and push the envelope and see what's unique about you and see how you connect with folks and what you can do to make an impact, right? Like, don't think that, oh, I need to subscribe with what's going on in order to be successful. If your style is totally different, that might be the thing that makes you break out from the crowded field of musicians. The other thing I'd say is a lot of folks are doing good stuff and might not realize how good it is, right? Because people around them might either be like complacent or take it for granted, I should say. And sometimes when you go to a different audience, they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. So don't ever get too down if you don't think the people in your surroundings, like they say in the expression, a prophet is never accepted in his hometown sometimes, right? The people in Galilee wanted to crucify Jesus. So it's like, you've got to sometimes take your message elsewhere. But also, if you have that hometown support, cherish it, nourish it. And I think just keep at it. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you're about to give up is right when you're about to make it. I have a song called This Is My Calling. And I said, I submit my prayer as the evidence irrefutable, overcame the obstacles and made it through the crucible. And when you go through the fire, that's what tempers the steel and makes you stronger. So if you're going through ups and downs, just learn from it. I never fail. I either succeed or I learn is an expression I heard, and I really like it because even when things don't go the way you want it, you can learn from it.
Wow, this is powerful, liberating, and I like the social conscious message that you carry in your music. Even not turning back, the lyrics, they are consistent in terms of what you speak about, in terms of liberation, in terms of being proud of who you are and being determined and determined to win. So I'm just gonna play a snippet from the liberation music, just 1 minute, and then we get to the last part of our conversation. So stay tuned. We are watching earGROUND. I'm speaking there to Dumi Right, who just dropped a song with Indosakusa. I was saying Indosakusa, pardon me, earlier on. Indosakusa, the Morning Star. This group is 1 hour. They've done amazingly well. And they feature on the track, No Turning Back, and the video as well out. So I'm just going to drop the link in the comment section for those that want to catch up the full video. But in the meantime,
people want the liberation music. Got a platform, you gotta use it. If it ain't right, we must refuse it. Exercise your rights before you lose it. People want the music of the liberation. Seems that all we're getting is a whole lot of misinformation. Even though it's in the air, it's not always apparent. The level of success is not proportional to talent. The strength of their convictions not proportional to truth. The rate of our convictions not proportional to proof. Make the most of what you got. I hope that you don't bury it. Regret can be a heavy burden. Hope that you don't carry it. Ignore the writing on the wall at your own peril. Sometimes the path that we should take is the one that is narrow. The wrong route is often the one that's shiny and glamorous. Sometimes the right way to go is not always unanimous. Not surprised by all the lies, it's getting really crazy, yo. We need more than what you get from the TV and the radio. Say if we don't like it, then we can just change the station. But it's way bigger than that, gotta change the situation. People want the liberation.
Well, that is actually one of my favorite tracks from Dumi Right there. I love it because the message is powerful. It resonates with so many situations, so many people, and it speaks truth to power. And, you know, the visuals, the way you create the visuals there, it's quite moving. Very simple, but it's quite deep. Fast forward. Not fast forward. You are not only a musician, you're involved with so many other initiatives at a community level, and I would want, for the benefit of our viewers, to get a bit of an insight into the other initiatives that you're involved in, where you use hip hop to empower communities and young people.
Yeah, so definitely do a lot in terms of community building, because that's kind of the essence of hip hop, is building community, bringing people together in a cipher lyrically, but also in a community cipher of interacting and working with people and teaching. So I do workshops, teaching, emceeing, songwriting, performance, have worked with the program as a cultural ambassador, and have even taken my talents of teaching hip hop and workshops as far as Thailand, where I did a residency through the Next Level program through Department of State and University of North Carolina, teaching hip hop, teaching emceeing to people in Thailand. So that was a real beautiful thing. I've worked in schools, have worked in universities, have spoken at universities, numerous universities around the country, and have even worked in assisting with classes on hip hop and hip hop history, because a lot of universities are introducing hip hop into their curriculum. So as a practitioner, as an artist, and one with some hip hop history, I've had the privilege and honor of being able to do that. So it's like the Biggie Smalls lyric, whoever thought hip hop would take it this far, you know, now I'm in the limelight because I rhyme tight. But you got to do more than just rap, right? To broaden your horizons and opportunities, and as well as give back. you know, that's an important part of, I think, you know, doing this hip hop and doing what I do, is being able to give back either through sharing knowledge, sharing history, experience, and also being kind of a documentarian verbally of what happened in hip hop past,
Yes.
what's going on in hip hop present, and what will come in hip hop future. Because there's a lot of commentators that talk and write about hip hop, but as somebody that's in it and doing it and has been doing it, that's a unique perspective. So I always consider it a blessing to be able to share that.
Wow, that is powerful, and I'm happy because you mentioned the next level. This is one of the programs that helped me. It transformed me in a major way. We're collaborators for the Zimbabwean edition, and a shout out to Mark Katz and the whole team.
Yes.
The program is transformative. I look at the young people that have been part of the program in Zimbabwe and what they've managed to achieve and do today. It's mind-blowing. So yeah, congratulations on taking hip hop into communities and to young people in a very positive way. Wow, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Was really nice talking to you and hearing more about the new track that you just dropped, but also about the other works that you're doing and the power of hip hop in impacting people and communities.
Yeah, no, very good, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Your studio and setup is dope, man. I appreciate the platform. Like, I always consider it a blessing. You know, somebody once said, I think Pharaoh Monch said, like, you know, prophets back in the day didn't have access to as many people as we do via the tools and technology. So I never take it for granted. It's always a blessing to be able to talk and speak and share. A wise man once told me, share your story. So that's what I try to do all the time, is share what I've gone through. Maybe somebody can relate. Maybe somebody can get inspired, and maybe they'll be like, yeah, you know, if this young man from, you know, who was in high school in Harare that ended up coming coming to America, not like Eddie Murphy as a king, but as a person with dreams and aspirations, and still being able to do it decades later. You know what I mean? I don't take that lightly at all. Like, it's a real blessing to be able to continue to make music at a high level and be invited, you know, to different venues and places and universities to rock, you know, clubs, bars, like all across the map. To be able to do it is a real privilege, and it's fun, and it's an honor to be able to continue to do it. And so I always try to make sure I'm saying something that means something, and not just wasting this platform that I've been given. So you got a platform, you got to use it. Like
yes.
that Liberation Music song says.
Great. But before you go, I mean, it would be nice if you could just drop us even, I don't know, 4 bars, 8 bars.
All right. We need to come up with something. So this goes out to my people out here trying to make progress, working all week, but at the end of it got less. Every door closed, standing exposed and undressed, struggling so long, and for the weary there's no rest. Losing all faith, becoming atheist, godless. You're trying to get it together, but it remains a hot mess. The root cause is obvious and really it's hard to miss. Looking at the writing on the wall and it's ominous, not even on the wrong track, because really there ain't one. Waiting for a savior, disappointed he ain't come when the toothpaste is out of the tube. Can't put it back in. Seems like you can't stop the inevitable from happening. Fighting to survive, but returns are diminishing. Take a look outside and the future looks menacing. Start but never finishing. They use without replenishing. Hollow words promising this, that, and the other thing. Void needs to be filled. Soil needs to be tilled. We'd had enough destroying. Now it's time to rebuild. Excuse this interruption. I didn't mean to bust in. Forget these fools. Let's get these tools and start this construction. Yeah.
Wow, man. The power and the energy and the profoundness in those lyrics. I really feel, you know, blessed to actually have the chance to speak to you and experience that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And it's about what we've all been going through with this pandemic and COVID-19. And we filmed shots, you know, Psychotech was actually in Joburg, Outspoken in Harare, and myself in Washington, D.C. by the Washington Monument, just talking about our experiences. So I'm going to continue doing it. So y'all stay tuned, because there's more where that came from. And we can't stop, won't stop, like the expression says.
Wow, this is quite interesting because you just mentioned two of my favorite MCs. I am a big fan of Psychotech. I'm a big fan of Outspoken. It's been a while since I had anything from Outspoken, apart from the works that I see him doing. But I would love to hear another track from Outspoken. I mean, he's a dope lyricist, but also Psychotech. I mean, he's holding it up. I remember a few years back when I saw him perform. Up to now, I have deeper appreciation for that. Yeah, and thank you so much for such great music. For the benefit of those that are at home, I'm just going to close off with a snippet from that video. The video is called These Days and Times, featuring Outspoken and Psychotech by Dumi Right. So until next time, my name is Plot Marco. Stay tuned. earGROUND. New voices amplified. I'm out.
Peace.
Peace.
Hey, yo. Nowadays it seems like I barely get to breathe. Weighing on my mind till my shoulders deep. It's hard to even dream when you hardly get to sleep. From the present manifested to the future of my seed.
Some people thought it only affected a small percentage, it wasn't authentic. Upside down and all around, we're tangled up in this pandemic. Need to harness energy and make a movement that's kinetic. If we fail to act like with the Spanish flu, we won't regret it. Some say it's a reset, others think that it's a warning. Global warming, murder hornets, now there's locusts swarming. People in power, they ignored it. Information got distorted, now the stakes are so damn high that most of us cannot afford it. Healthcare, we could really use some help here, especially deadly for lower income. COVID-19 doesn't care. Time to make a shift. Gotta focus on the simple things. You and I don't know when we will die or what the future brings. Doesn't matter where you reside. It can be dangerous going outside. Social distance slows the tide. Wear a mask. So many have died. Cut through all of the debates. We cannot make the same mistakes. All the actions we take determine the future we create.
Nowadays it seems like I barely get to breathe. Weighing on my mind till my shoulders deep. It's hard to even dream when you hardly get to sleep. From the present manifested to the future of my seed. Feels like I'm chasing an illusion. Seeking out my zen ends me up in retribution. A constant state of fight or flight. My heart's getting numb till the enemy resembles the reflection I've become. Started off as passion, progress to sadness. Now a constant anger helps to keep away the madness. How can this be the state of the human race when the few take the lives of the many for a gain? An eye for an eye. But why should I die? Just so that you can feel safe. I know God not me. The foolish run the world, but remember every dog has its day. Nowadays it seems like I barely get to breathe. Weighing on my mind till my shoulders deep. It's hard to even dream when you hardly get to sleep. From the present manifested to the future of my seed.
The virus.
See, I'm not here to preach. Instead, I'm here with critical questions out of my speech now. Is it another deception or rearranging perception? I don't know, but I suggest we all do the observation. I observe. My nation is in a tricky situation. See, every child, women, and man is fit in the book of Revelations. Look, as I walk down in the valley of my township, I hear the hearts of scared people pounding. I'm counting numbers of these victims that are dying. We're living in the days and times where genocide is silent. I'm sick and tired of the system controlled by tyrants, putting us on lockdown and everything is shut down. Forced to adapt to new norms, it's getting real and profound. We've caused a lot of harm to nature, what goes around comes around. We lived a lot of struggles, but 2020 is the worst year. And the question still remains like, what went wrong here?
Nowadays it seems